All right, so today we are looking at another entry in the AI world. We're looking at Oggi, which is a program designed for customer success managers to kind of manage their workflow and do things more efficiently, right? And so my understanding, the main feature part of Oggi is it's a audio transcription tool. So you would have this recorded on your calls. It would go ahead and transcribe the entire call for you and then make every part of that transcription usable in your action items, right? So you'd be able to reference things in the conversation, you'd be able to look at different pieces of the conversation and have them directly loop into your follow-up tasks. So I do want to go ahead and jump in and take a look at this, and then I'll have commentary here and there. I don't want to interrupt the demo too much, but I'll have definitely some conversation on the end. Before I jump in though, I want to kind of talk about where this would be the most valuable. So we're going to hear a lot about follow-up tasks. So if you get off a call immediately, like I have to draft an email right now, but I have to get into another call right now too, how will I remember this follow-up? Where will I have these notes? That's a constant struggle every single day. So having that and making sure that things quickly and correctly go from your call notes into your CRM, into your follow-up emails, into Slack, and to follow up with other team members is definitely a challenge. And so that's a big part of where this comes up. Yeah, so let's take a look. Let's listen to the demo.
Hi again, it's me, just reaching out again. Thank you so much for your feedback to date. It has been invaluable to us as we're kind of moving along on this development stage of the product. So as we discussed previously, the workflows for a CS a lot of the time can be quite repetitive and time consuming, especially we found post-call. So we're going to tackle that workflow first with Oggi and look at that area and how we can apply AI. So this is Oggi, you land on your landing page. So I'm just going to run you through our MVP. So you can come into your workflows, and at the moment the workflow we are tackling is your post-call follow-ups. So this is connected to my Clearwood account, but we're going to connect to Gong and other meeting platforms to pull in the meetings for you. So I'm just going to paste in a previous meeting and bring it up. So meeting with Simon is complete. We're ready. Let's go. So the most common...
So just to pause here real quick and make sure I understand what just happened. So this is just integrated with your call software. So if you're using Zoom, if you're using Google Meet, if you're using any of the, or if you're using Teams, I assume, this will automatically be a part of those calls. So you will be able to go back to any individual call and reference the conversation in a searchable way that can be pulled into a bunch of different places. But this AI will keep track of what was said, when and where, and have kind of a running record of that for all of your meetings. So that was just a really quick bit, throwing a link in there, but I assume that that's what just happened. So then we'll look at kind of the follow-up tasks from that single call.
Tasks after a CS call or implementation call is firstly to update your CRM or your CSP. So this is just based on HubSpot at the moment, but you can copy and paste obviously into Salesforce, and we're going to integrate with other CRMs in the future and future versions of the product. So this is based on your HubSpot base instruction.
So just looking at this real quick, so you do have multiple templates, and those templates give you a framework for how the notes are going to be recovered so that that is what you're going to put into your CRM, your HubSpot. Because you don't want it to just dump information into your CRM, because it has to be formatted in a specific way, with specific notes, with specific fields, things that you are required to kind of get it in the right places in that CRM. So that was kind of glossed over here, but that's very cool to see that, and that's helpful in understanding what we're looking at in this step. So we're looking at a selection of the transcript with some pieces picked out, and especially that header at the top showing what information needs to be in there, like date, attendees. Then you've got the summary. I assume the customer call update is the title of this entire thing. And then you've got your action items down there on the bottom. And this really does help very quickly kind of take all the information that's in there. So if you're at all like me in customer success, you take either handwritten notes, hopefully you're not like me, but maybe you take handwritten notes, or you take notes in something like OneNote or Google Drive, whatever digital version you have, so you can copy those and paste them directly into your CRM, which is kind of a time-saving piece that a lot of us use, but this would save even more because it actually takes the transcript directly and then pre-preps this for you, but then also there is an edit option you'll see at the bottom of every one of these steps, so even the pre-prepped pieces you are able to still customize and make sure that they are a correct reflection of what you actually want to do and what was said.
I'm going to show you those in a moment in the templates section. So this is just giving a very quick summary. This is what our prompt is asking us to do.
Note the edit pencil in the very bottom of that.
Asking Oggi to do. It's putting the attendees in a summary of the call, pulling out any action items and next steps from the call. So you can jump in and you can edit as you wish. This, though, has been created by you within your templates. So it's like prompting Oggi to do this within your own format. So then that across your own documentation and even your team's documentation, you can actually be uniform with your outputs.
And then just to jump in again, and so that was sort of glossed over. So the first task was you had a pre-filled out section of notes that you send straight to your CRM. Done. It's in HubSpot, it's in Salesforce, wherever there. And then you prep another one for your follow-up Slack message to your team, just with a little bit of follow-up there if you do share notes in that particular way. And now this, I will say this part is not typically the way you deal with this as a CSM, a customer success manager. You usually have your own portfolio and you won't update your entire team after every single call. That said, with some calls, especially the big high-risk ones where you need a bunch of eyes on them, this is very helpful to go ahead and have this done quickly, especially since those calls have the most follow-up and the most that you have to the most ducks to line up after the call. That is where you could use the time saving the most, but it's not going to be the majority of your calls in this case here. And this is specifically talking about Slack. I'm in my second company now that uses Teams, so I'm assuming this would also integrate with Teams at some point too. And again, notice the edit button at the end, and this also is another template that you could choose if you're going to do a follow-up in with your workplace chat software, whatever it is, Slack or Teams or whatever else is out there. This would go ahead and pre-prep that so that you have the exact format you want to send those messages in.
So next is Slack. Let's update Slack. So let's update the team internally on the call we've just had. So here, hey team, just had a productive call with Sam. And you can again edit, copy and post to Slack. This is V1. V2 obviously will give you the capability to be able to choose what Slack channel you wish to direct your message to. So now third task, which
she's about to say it, I shouldn't have been wrong,
is most repetitive for CSs after your customer calls, is your drafting of your follow-up emails. So again, we can use our base instructions. You can have templates for different follow-ups saved, which is going to be in V2 and available to you. This is just based on your email instructions for now. This is a follow-up email that you can then again edit, or you can copy and send over to your email client.
And now that references that you're able to update an email. I assume as part of the template, you're also able to update the title or somewhere include the title in the actual pre-composed message so that there's a subject line, right? And I'm curious about that part too, because one of the major things that we have right now, and this sort of bypasses this, right? One of the major features I've used quite a bit in the last couple of years is when you send that follow-up email, you have your magic link or your direct link that is copied directly from your email and is also sent to your notes section or your timeline section in your CRM, Gainsight, Salesforce, whatever. Whenever you send an email, you're able to attach that and that copies over the conversation there. So that actually skips one of these steps where the first step here was sending the notes to the CRM, but usually one of the ways that we would do that is we do the follow-up notes to the customer would be added directly into our CRM through that like email link. Now this has some big advantages over that because this could still do the same thing. In your template, you could set it up to pull that magic link, go directly to your CRM, but that would be the follow-up email, whereas the notes section would also include what internal notes you had. To pull this back a little bit while we're looking at this product, that is one of the downsides of this, right? Because even your custom notes from the auto transcription, either you have to spend a bunch of time editing them or it's only what was actually said in the conversation, not the other notes. For example, like this is a feature we're working on, or like this will be available X date, or this is not going to happen, but we have to figure out how to broach that subject later. So you can add your own internal notes, but every internal note that you add to a transcript of the call takes more time, is less time that is saved by the automation. So just going through your area.
So obviously V2 again is going to do that automatically for you at the click of a button. So yeah, you know the 30 minutes saved. Wow, you've saved 3 hours and 30 minutes this week. Nice work. Is there anything else we can help you with? Yes, I have some custom work to do. This drops you into a chat interface then with your meeting. So then you can use any of these tasks, which are quite common among CSs. So you can have your follow-up, your satisfaction check, your action items, meeting summary, pending issues. So I'm just going to ask for a list of the action items, and it's going to list the action items.
And one thing I want to highlight there is there was the list of suggested results of custom work to click that you would be from your scripts and your templates. But there is also that free chat feature, so you could just ask for something like, how long was the call? I don't know why you'd want to know that, but who were the attendees on the call? So you could jump back to this call later and have a quick reference to be like, hey, what was said here? Who said this? Who are the attendees on this call? Things like that. So if you have a very long call, say you have an hour-and-a-half training call at some point, there's a question somewhere in the middle, you could use this chat interface to find that piece of the call and quickly reference that up. If someone asks like, hey, what was said here? Or what was your take here? Or you are looking at a conversation in the future, kind of like tease apart how something happened, why it happened, or what follow-up actions you want to take based on your impression of the call. Being able to search the conversation is a huge feature that I really, really appreciate.
And the responsible persons for those for me, which is quite handy. I'm just going to ask another question of this. What's the challenge around tool change within the company? Adding a new tool. The challenge around adding new tools includes change management, training, integration, and anything that was discussed on the call. So this could be quite helpful. So then just looking at your templates, you can do multiple tasks here, obviously, and send them to Slack or add them to follow-up emails, etc. So then within your templates, we have base instructions for each output. So you are able to direct and carve out a summary that's going to be relevant to you, your team, and your company. And you can also have templates. You can see the prompts built in here for attitude and insights, growth opportunities. So also with Slack, same, we have different Slack templates that we can use, which is very handy. In V2, hopefully these will be available within the chat interface, and same with your draft email. So this could be quite helpful when building those follow-ups. So I hope you like the demo, and I'd love if you'd like to share it with your colleagues, and any feedback would be fantastic. Thanks.
Okay, so just kind of to break that down. So it does have some very handy features. I do want to kind of talk through some of the pieces that weren't necessarily covered there. So at its core, we're talking about an AI assistant tool that has a chat function, very much like ChatGPT, but is fully integrated into your CRM, into your email, into your call recordings, has transcripts of all of your calls. There's a huge amount of potential here, and I wanted to kind of talk through a couple pieces of my workflow just in the last couple days to kind of talk about where this could be hugely helpful. So I already touched on a couple areas where this may not save as much time as it first appears. The biggest one being that email template, right? Or excuse me, the follow-up notes to the CRM. The two ways are, there's already a piece in our workflow where you can add the magic link to your email and have that automatically go into your CRM. But the follow-up notes that you could take from the conversation could be things that you don't send to the client, so that wouldn't be part of the email. So having a quick way to put that into your notes would be really helpful, especially if it's based on the transcript. But there are two ways that you kind of eat at the time saving there, right? If it's a very long call, it takes a very long time to trim down what you need in the notes. If it is a call you have to add a lot of notes to, as in they're the internal notes that aren't going to be the ones that actually go to the customer or the client, every single edit you have to make takes away from the time saving here. I do see a lot of potential with this tool though, so I touched on that. In terms of like things that I'm doing in my day-to-day, just to run through a couple projects. So I just got a brand new portfolio. I was given my brand new portfolio of customers that I will be working with in the future. And so a couple things I had to do. Number one, I had to figure out how many clients I had in each state. Number two, I had to figure out which ones had the highest, recurring revenue, which ones were the highest dollar value clients. I had to find out which ones had which products. I had to figure out which ones had which pain points, which ones were high risk, which ones are just kind of like how they're geographically located. So the things that I by hand, I made a Google map and I put a pin on it for every single location of my customers so that I have that referenceable map to see like this is where everyone is and kind of pick things there. And that's just kind of a helpful side tool that comes up all the time, especially since there's going to be an element of this where I actually visit them in person. So assuming this tool is integrated with the CRM, the customer resource management system that has all our records in it, if it is able to look through that and pull up geographic data and make a map for me, awesome. If it is able to actually sort out the ARR for all of these and order that, awesome. If it's able to build a report with custom fields and pull that out of the CRM just without me having to do that by hand, oh my God, it would be amazing. So these are all features that, as far as this goes so far, these are directions it could go that would be hugely, hugely helpful. So I just talked about kind of pulling information out of my individual meetings or out of my individual clients or the big picture, right? So I'm in my second role where I'm using both Gainsight and Salesforce and Gainsight rather. Gainsight's really an add-on to Salesforce in most cases. And there are common issues in every single case where you have that pairing. Number one, the single biggest problem is being able, so Salesforce and Gainsight are both very good at giving you individual pieces of information. One client, one contact, one conversation, one support ticket. They're very good at giving you that one piece. They have somewhat effective reports where it's like if you're looking for one question, it's like which of your schools have you not talked to in 30, 60, 90 days? It can give you a report on that kind of thing that's very automated. That's very helpful. However, it's very bad at giving you kind of general summaries and being effective at looking through entire lists quickly. So I can't go to Salesforce and immediately be like, this is all of my clients in this state, or this is all of my clients who have this product. I can't go into that and be like, this is everyone I know who's high risk or has been moved to high risk in a recent time. It takes a huge amount of manual work digging through individual schools, my clients are schools, digging through individual clients, individual entries inside Salesforce and Gainsight, and pulling out this information and collating it, right? So you end up going in and pulling out custom reports. I spend a lot more time working in Excel spreadsheets that I pull out of, or CSV files, whatever you open them with, that I pull out of my CRM than I spend actually in the CRM. And that's because you can't really work with or manipulate the data inside the CRM. It's clunky, it's hard to navigate, it's very difficult to get large amounts of stuff and sort them. So any tool that made that easier, especially with a chat interface, would be amazing. Huge help. Let's see, I'm trying to think if there's anything else in my workflow that I'm missing here that would be helpful for this. As far as this goes, this is fantastic. I will say that this is going to be high horse, very opinionated a bit here. If you're doing customer success correctly, the majority of your work is very individualized to the task, individualized to the customer, individualized to the conversation. It is difficult to rely on templates. Templates are very helpful when you do mass outreach, where it's like you have 200 people you have to reach out to for a specific issue. Like there's going to be an app update in a week. You have to let all these people know within 24 hours that this is coming. AI could be hugely helpful in kind of drafting that. But you want to not do that as much as possible. You want them to be as individualized as is humanly possible, because you are building relationships with people, and people tend to be pretty good at telling when a response is a form letter. Now, all of the templates do give you the option to edit, which is really nice. So if you have a very effective template that then also has an area where you're able to just edit it and change things around, that is handy and would save a lot of time, especially as you built this up. Like, for example, this person is asking for training videos on how to set up new users at the kind of base level. This person is asking for questions on how to edit a specific field somewhere. If you could set up your template messages where you save, say for example, you've got a set of training videos on how to log in for the first time, or how to set up your user account, how to use this specific piece of software, how to solve a specific troubleshooting issue, those could all be email templates that you save. And then you reference like, hey, this person's asking about this, template, intro paragraph, done. That would save a lot of time, especially as you're able to bank, as each question comes in, you could bank the response into a template and then have that shareable. One thing that would make that really helpful is if your email templates are also shareable across your workspace, which this intro made it seem like they are, but I wanted to double check that. So if you have a really good response to, hey, where do I find a training video on this? If you make a template that's shared across your entire team, that's good stuff. I am finding at every company I work with, there's some really, really good resources and materials out there, but they're kind of scattered all over the place. Some are up to date, some aren't. Sometimes things are in different places. Sometimes things are in multiple places, and if you update one, the others are unupdated. There's a lot of stuff to sift through manually, and anything that's able to tie that together, like SharePoint. If this chat interface could connect Salesforce, SharePoint, Gainsight, a little bit of Excel, and do a lot of kind of the searching through all of this just like chunks of stuff efficiently and quickly, that would be an enormous help. And that's one of the biggest advantages of these AI tools is the ability to sift through large amounts of non-intuitive information and translate it into what you want in that moment relatively quickly. Yeah, because I spend a huge amount of time doing some of this stuff by hand that would, could, and should be a lot faster. Yes, so that is it. So just kind of to recap what we saw today to make sure I'm sort of on the same page here. So we saw a chat interface, awesome. It will transcribe your calls by call, awesome. And then you have templates for your follow-up tasks where you can very quickly, with just a couple of clicks here and there, throw things to your CRM, throw things to your email, throw things to your team chat, so that you have ways to very quickly take large amounts of communication and put them in the individual channels where you need them to go. There's a lot of potential there. I still am most interested in the actual connection to the CRMs, to the databases, to the information that is all tying all this stuff together, for a couple of reasons. And these are very, very difficult asks, right? But these are the things that really do hold us up. So like I said, gathering the correct, current, up-to-date information from the sea of different locations could be hugely helpful. Being able to reference like, hey, now I'm just thinking out loud. We've got a couple different options here. So some of the things that would be hugely helpful is if this is able to search multiple conversations. So say, for example, this is connected to your intercom support chat where you get all these questions in. You could search for a question, and then you could go to that chat and you can see what answer or what the resolution was, and that would be a really good way, a very fast way to resolve questions and answers. And that is kind of directly in line with what this is doing and would be very helpful to me. Another feature that would be hugely helpful is I use Calendly a lot. So say, for example, if a customer sets up a Calendly appointment with me, it would be a massive help if that could automatically generate a quick sort of like summary of the client. Like, here's who you, when you talked to them last, link. This is who you're talking to, link. Here are some quick high-level notes, like, are they high risk? What products do they use? A pre-call summary that was just automatically generated would be gold. And these are all things that kind of line up with what I'm seeing this tool is able to do. I'm less familiar with the back end. I don't know where it's going to hit walls and how much of this it's able to do, but I did just kind of want to talk through some of the really important pieces that would be very helpful. As it stands, it's cool. I really like the tool. I'm excited about the potential. As it is right now, I don't really need the features it has now. However, I see where it is going, and I could see it being very, very helpful in the near future if it's able to pull in some of this other stuff. You really want to make someone's day. Figure out how to make one of these things that's really good at cleaning up Salesforce data. You could be on contract for that all over the world, because every single Salesforce I've ever seen is full of messy data that needs to be cleaned up by hand later. Yeah, so anything that can kind of scrub through and rectify individual information. There's a huge risk there in it getting stuff wrong, but it would be a massive help to make sure, like, oh, this client doesn't have this box checked, or this email was never copied to this Salesforce, or this contact is inactive, we should flag that somehow. Or this customer has not been contacted in 30 days. Like, there's a lot of different ways that that could be really helpful. And the level of coordination you could do with an AI is absolutely massive, where it's like, hey, you had some notes. Yesterday you said you were going to call this person. Here's their phone number. Here's a link to their entry in Salesforce, or just things like that, like little prompts like that, where you could, in Slack, one of my favorite tools is you could do /remind and set yourself an automated task. Something like this could do that in a much more powerful fashion across more platforms. You could say, hey, remind me to call such and such at, X time on this day, with their Salesforce link, with these notes, and provide their contact phone number from their Salesforce entry. Like, that would be huge. And that feels like a relatively easy step for a tool like this to do. Yeah, I think we'll leave it there. That was a lot. hopefully this is helpful. And I have promised this feedback for a long time, so I am sorry it was delayed. So we'll see. I'm going to keep watching this product, and I would be very curious to see more about it. And we'll go from there. Cheers.